gentlemen, welcome to the first ever SBL mid-season analysis stream. It's literally going to be summoning insight with better players. I am Ajs Zero. I am joined here by Thrifty Senpai, Renai Circulation, OnTheWind, and 30, who, to the best of my knowledge, have been watching all of the games. And we're not really too sure how this is going to go, so we're going to just go into this here. So, like I've been saying, this is going to just be summoning insight, but about better players. So, the place I want to start here is the really obvious topic, and that's going to be about who we think is going to miss the playoffs. Because so far this season, I hate to put a fork in them, but Boy Butter, I do not think are going to be in the playoffs. I am willing to put some money down on that if anyone wants to contest me. Actually, I'm willing to put down a lot of money on that one. They fucking are not very good, and they have a long way to go to make it into the playoffs. But the other 5 teams all look really competitive. The worst record of the 5 remaining teams is Boosted Friendship. You can see if you're looking on the screen at 2 and 3. But they also played Cheeseburglar in all 3 of those losses. And Waifu Superstar in first place.
They played Cheeseburglar in 2 of those losses, not 3.
That's true. We have lost 1 game with all our full 5.
That's correct.
We did have, but like we also had our support at 400 ping. We also just weren't looking good as a team, so I'm not going to place all the blame on those.
No Johns.
So I guess the general question here is just, do you guys think, or maybe somebody you think is going to be that 5th place team? Because it's got to be somebody, and there really hasn't been an obvious indicator. It's not like last season where, if you guys weren't around or don't remember last season, after week 5 in the first round robin, we actually had it break down where every single team had beaten every team below them in the rankings, and it was the most boring first round robin ever. Not the case this season.
Well, we did see a change coming off the second one, but like in the second half of it, it did mix up a little bit. But I think the other team, if I had to pick a team that, if another team was not to make it, I'd have to say it's probably be the Baddie Bargain Bin. I think that the Madam Strip inconsistencies have been kind of problematic for them, and as we start to see SS Boosted Friendship kind of taken off, like out of the 3-2 teams, I think they've had a little bit more struggle than some of the other ones, and with the Boosted Friendship team coming up, they could have some problems.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I really started thinking about this yesterday when, obviously, Waifu Superstar, my team, we played Triple B yesterday, so that was really the closest look I'd taken at them, and I just didn't realize how little some of the guys on that team have been playing. I mean, Mikuro and Madam Strip are essentially not playing the game, especially Madam Strip. And one of those guys has to start. And to me, the problem with that team is, I think for them to be competitive, they have to have Vivaret and Labour just going off completely each week, which obviously those guys are excellent players, and you know, they started 3-1 for a reason. Those guys are capable of going off, but I just don't feel comfortable thinking they're going to do that for an entire season. So, Blab, maybe you think somebody else is going to be the 5th place team. Curious if you want to maybe try to deflect this onto another team.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand what you guys are saying about my team, but suppose if I were to deflect, I would say Think Twice, Die Once could be up and down, but they've been playing pretty solid the past 2 weeks.
I think all of Think Twice, Die Once's games all balance on if Purple does well or not. Like, if he plays another Jax game like he played that one, not necessarily on that champion, like, you guys are going to lose literally every game you play. But if you like put him on save champions or champions that are huge lane bullies, like when you had him on the Trundle, like those are solid picks where he can get ahead and own his lane and keep pushing. But like I said, the one time that I casted, which was against that game, was everything rides on Purple, and if Purple doesn't do well, your team will lose.
Yeah, I think that's actually like the probably like if I had to pick another team, I think that'd be like the other one I would think to be there. This team has it's just a team that has really high highs and really low lows. we saw both their losses were really rough, but all their wins have looked really, really clean overall. So, and they came up really strong this last week as well. They had a very dominating performance, like you said, with Purple doing very well in the Trundle. But with a long season, with how all these teams are like apparently, besides Boy Butter, able to take games off of each other, relying on a single person to carry every game could be really rough.
So 30, do you have something you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, is this my turn to deflect?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, actually, before I deflect, I don't agree with the whole Purple's the only like carry on the team, like where he decides the games. Have you guys seen Thermidor play these like all of these games?
Actually, I want to back 30 up on this one because I do agree. I don't think it's that Purple has to carry, but I do think it's that Purple's the highest variance player on this team, with the most potential to just suddenly have a dud of a game.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that.
No, well, this
30,
meta is so
You've
important.
done well with shot calling, and Thermidor's been a monster in the jungle. He's been probably like the best performing jungler overall throughout this split.
I think he's hands down been the best jungler this split.
Yeah,
I don't think
I'd
it's
agree with
close either.
that. Well, Epic.
That's true. It's been close with
yeah.
Epic, but
Definitely top 2.
But
Mhm.
yeah, like I would say trust me, I like Epic. He's on my team. He's an awesome. But I would say overall, I think Thermidor has been performing better, like overall. But those two have definitely been very strong in the jungle.
Yeah, and this is a whole new team now that I'm back. Like we saw, just ignore the first 4 games, right? Like the first 4 games could have been 4 losses, could have been 4 wins. I don't think you can really gauge anything from those first 4 games. Gauge this last week, gauge that game, and then think about that team playing the games. There is no low lows anymore. There's only high highs, and then like some really good contested games that we'll probably lose in the Baron throw.
So what you're telling me is that you're going to be taking teleport so that you can go to Purple's lane and make sure he never loses. Wow, yeah. I can't believe you just gave that up on a stream.
I know, it was a mistake.
So out of the deflection 30, because I'm guessing you think your team will not be the team to miss the playoffs.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I don't know. It's actually.
It is hard. Sometimes you got to answer hard questions in life, 30.
Yeah, I know.
I think this is the tightest grouping we've had in SBL history, at least based off immediate power level. Obviously, it could change in the finals, could be a blowout, but come mid-season, the top 4, everyone besides Boy Butter looks really good.
Yeah.
Continue 30.
Yeah, like the Baddies bargain bin argument, I can see that. Like that one almost seems the most evident just because of like how they started and then like where they are now and like sort of like how their games have been going. It seems sort of a downhill trend. But I feel like there's like criticisms for all these, or I guess for 2K2S and SS Boosted Friendship, you can make strong arguments on why they could lose a lot more games. 2K2S, their bot lane is something that could be definitely exploited in a lot of the games. Like obviously Scotch and Thrifty, every game have been like pretty on top, and Epic came out of nowhere this season. Epic has like impressed me beyond any doubt, but last week it didn't get started up. Like the Epic Scotchonaut Thrifty trio didn't really get started up, so there could be some points where teams could try to like go at the weak bot lane, and then Boosted Friendship. I mean, Dumb Drum's straight boosted. Like I don't know. Like when he played Zach that one game, it was literally the worst jungle performance I've ever seen in the SBL.
Have you watched Dumb Drum the last 2 weeks? I mean, this guy has had more ganks in the past 2 weeks than Master Splinter has had in like some of his prime seasons. That's barely an exaggeration. Dumb Drum's been fucking going off. Like when I say Zhao is ganking while I'm casting his games, I mean it. Like this guy looks like he's a fucking pro again.
Yeah, like please watch, like go back and watch our game from last night and then compare it to the game that we played against Think Twice Die Once, and I think that was like week 2 or 3. And just watch Dub Drum in the jungle and look at the difference between that. To be honest, like I'm not gonna say that we won't be 5th place, because I think that any of the 5 teams that aren't Boy Butter could be 5th place. Waifu Superstar is probably looking in the best position right now just based on their ranking, but they also lost a game to us pretty early on from like mess ups and pick ban or whatever you want to blame that on. But like your team is very well rounded. It just doesn't have any of like the very clear star talent that I guess other teams have. Where you guys could very easily just get like torn apart by some person just going off.
Yeah, actually, if did anyone else have anything they wanted to add about missing the playoffs? Because then that does bring me into the next topic I want to ask, which Waifu Superstar are currently sitting 4-1, the only team in sole possession of first place for the first time all season. At this point, are you confident saying that Waifu Superstar is the favorite to take home the whole season? Or do you guys think that somebody else looks stronger even though they have a worse record?
Do you think anyone's gonna say yes to that question?
Okay, let's say you can't name your own team. Your team, each of you, think about this question in terms of you just died in real life and your team has to play with your sub for the rest of the season. So your team's now 5th place. In that scenario, do you think Waifu Superstar is the favorite? I mean, Tree and I are going to sit this one out for, obvious reasons.
Hold on. We haven't seen Cheese play top lane yet.
I don't think it's good. I'm willing to put money on that one as well.
Oh.
Ouch.
Savage.
Oh, wow.
I think you could
ask the
honestly
tough
make an
questions
argument for like
Swift.
any of these teams.
Yeah, no, like I think any team could make it except for
Hey,
Boiler.
can you guys stop it with the pussy shit?
No,
well,
no,
I
no,
think
like,
every team
I
could...
haven't. I was about to explain it, but you
All right,
so
let's
rudely
hear
interrupted me.
Alice.
So put your dick in your mouth where it belongs. Give me a minute. So the thing that's really interesting with this is I think a lot of these teams, like some teams match up better against other teams, and so like because of the way like their playstyles work, like we've seen, and that's kind of why we have like the cyclical motion right now where all these teams are like 3-2. For example, like our team fares fairly well against Baddie Bargain Bin because Match is able to take advantage of Adam Strip. While Bluer is handily like the second best, like he's handily one of the best mid laners in the lane. I'm able to like keep him down, and then Epic is able to out jungle their jungler of either Micro or Mr. Coffee very well, and that's able to like put us into a very large advantage. While as other teams, for example, Baddie Bargain Bin excels against other teams where they're able to take advantage of that, where they don't need that early jungle pressure, where their solo lanes can get ahead and put advantage. Because Madam Strip does have his games where he does go off, and Bulbur obviously has taken over games as we've seen with him with Orianna and Lux, and I can't remember what else he played earlier on in the weeks. But like where he's able to go off really, really strong. For example, like against, I think we saw them beat up on Boosted Friendship, where we saw Bulbur just become absolutely massive on mid lane side and just like start pounding people and getting huge knockups. So whereas Booster Friendship matches up better against, say, Waifu Superstar, where they're able to keep up on like raw talent across the whole board. Thoughts?
I agree. To go off, I guess the very last thing you said with raw talent. I think
some teams
SS
have like a
Boost...
lot, some teams have like a solid player in every position, and they don't have a single part of their team that's like this guy is trash.
SS Boosted Friendship, except Dubdrum highs. I guess I guess I have to. I didn't catch all of your guys' game this week, so I'll rewatch the VOD there. But Dubdrum has some very low lows, but everyone else in the team is like wicked solid. Respect and Evolite is like amazing. Oh my god. I could talk for days about how good that bot lane is. But yeah, raw talent over across the board. I think SS Boost Friendship actually can take on Waifu Superstar easily.
And we did it in week 2. 3, 2, I don't remember.
Yeah. It was week 2, and I'm really excited now because this is also a week 6 matchup that suddenly has a bit of hype to it.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how this matchup comes out.
Because wait, so you said earlier that 2 of the games were with Cheese?
Yes, two of our losses.
Okay. See, ignore those.
The
Just
only
like my
time
first
they've
4 games,
lost-
ignore those. Just ignore all the games.
The boosted friendship, they beat Boy Butter and Waifu Superstar when they had their full roster. They lost with their full roster against 2K2S. They had Cheeseburglar against Batty Bargain and Bin, and I think twice once.
Sadly, 30, they still count in the standings. Those games you want to ignore.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'll get into the playoffs and then wait, what are the playoffs? Best of 3s, best of 5s?
Best of 5s, top 4 make it in King of the Hill bracket.
That's I think what people would say my wheelhouse. So yeah.
What do you mean playoffs are your wheelhouse?
No, best of 5s where draft
Where
strategy is like a legitimate thing.
And it's all about who can make the extra play late.
It's also incredibly important to have a consistent team in order to do well in playoffs. So I think that any of the teams that actually make it to playoffs, the ones that have the most consistent rosters will be on top, which unfortunately Purple has very high highs but very low lows.
Yeah, but 30's been pretty consistent on all his games as support. We've only seen it once this season. All one. I mean,
Yeah.
all one. But no, I mean, if you look
all
at any
one.
of the previous seasons where 30's played support, 30 has always been a very impressively solid player support. But obviously, it kind of also we'll get.
You guys are not. I can't understate.
Good as well.
I can't understate how much of a power up it is with me back on support. It's huge. I think the low lows you guys keep talking about is like in the early games previously when I was in my laning phase, actually doing well as an AD carry and laning phase. But I won't talk about the rest of the lane, like the mid game as my AD carry. But those are them making calls on their own, like them thinking like, oh yeah, let's do this. Verbal and Thermidor like, yeah, let's do this gank thing. But like they obviously didn't look at the map. They don't have like the wards. Zwirbs is like dying for free in mid lane. All of that, it's different now.
Are you trying to claim your team is good but stupid?
Hold on, are you trying to claim that you're high and you have the high effect on the mid laner who like obviously does not play better because of your shot calling? Just like in lane doing well.
Are you comparing me to high right now? Because thank you.
No, he's saying that you're shitty high.
I'm saying that you are claiming that you're high right now. You're basically saying Zwirbs body these fools.
High right now is a good descriptor.
Yeah. And to go off just the Zwirbs thing, I don't think you guys give enough credit. Zwirbs gets really tilted during our wins because like he rewatches the VODs and the casters are always like, oh, Zwirbs, he's such a mediocre mid laner. But he always like is second or first in damage charts and he does like considerably well.
But you said he did bad, thank you.
Okay, let's do our first player specific discussion. Let's talk about Zwirbs a bit because he is kind of a guy that flies under the radar. This is his second SBL season. He played in Season 5 mid laner for Team Flashlights, who took the finals to Game 5. Took last season off, and now he's come back. Obviously, the mid laner for TDO. Gets that rapport he's built up with 30. Just a guy who kind of flies under the radar, probably because there's so much star power in the SBL. He's definitely what I would call a role player mid laner, but I don't think role player is a bad title. I'm just curious what everyone else thinks about Zwirbs, especially since we've got two guys that have laned against him in here. Maybe Blab, if you want to start us off.
I actually think Zwirbs has been doing pretty well this season. I think in our game specifically, he didn't really do a lot, but like I think was it week 1 he had 10 kills on Ari or something.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was a lot.
He's one of those players where you don't really notice that he's doing anything, but then you look at the scoreboard and he's on top of it, and you're not sure why.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
He's not a guy to make flashy plays, that's for sure.
One pro is that like he's really good on Ari, and in most weeks that we've seen him not on Ari, it's been because he's either drawn a ban for that or forced the other team to pick it away from him. Which is a great place to have your mid laner who cost you $1.25. If I was a team owner, I would draft Zwirbs for $1.25 literally any chance I could get. Because that leaves you with 1875 on the rest of your team, and you have a solid mid laner who, no, I don't think he's the best mid laner in the league, but he's also not like bottom 2.
So just to poke the bear, because I'm sure Swift enjoys this, who would you say are the bottom 2 mid laners then? Because you said he's not bottom 2.
Correct.
So
just to name them all off, your starting mid laners are Blabuer, Thrifty Senpai, Boy Butter, Thor Odinsson, Mai Wang, and Zwirbs.
You just said Boy Butter.
Yes, Boy Butter it would be last.
Boy Butter is the worst mid lane in the league. There's, I don't think, any debate. They could put Master Splinter in the mid, it's still going to be the worst. They could put Thrifty Senpai in the mid lane, and I'm actually convinced it would still be the worst at this point.
Rip.
I think me and West could do some work with that team.
That team's doomed.
Spot me in for Cruz. Me and West could carry at least 2 games.
Anyways, Kyle, money where the mouth is. Bottom 2.
Yeah.
Bottom 2. All right. Okay, hold on.
I have something I want to say after this.
Because
also,
I
This
think
is
Zwirbs
actually
has been good. I think like he's been what he's needed to be, but I do think he is the second worst mid laner in the league.
Has he had a bad laning phase yet?
I
I
believe
don't-
that Wang bodied him, but I don't have the stats in front of me at all.
Yeah, define
Very-
bad laning phase, because he has been solo killed in lane, like, but he's not losing the game
a
for our
significant
team.
margin.
Yeah, exactly, because he'll die, right, and be like, shit, I died. I'm like, dude, no worries, just farm this shit out. He's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, he was down a significant margin against me yesterday. I had like a 40 CS lead and a kill advantage on him.
Yeah, I would actually say that Alice bodied Zwirbs yesterday.
Okay.
He
Yes.
was winning
that
the
is fair.
1v1, and Alice was also out pressuring on the map by a significant amount.
So yeah, when you put Zwirbs against, I guess,
Yeah.
the whole mid
Yeah, we have
pool
a
here, because the mid pool is so strong this season.
is.
Like, yeah, I
It's
don't
a
want to say
very
Zwirbs is
strong
second
mid
worst.
pool this season.
Yeah, like I don't think it's a bad thing that Zwirbs is
All right.
the
Yes.
second worst
Yeah,
mid
okay.
laner, because he has done very well for being the second worst mid laner. But I still think that he is the second worst mid
Yes,
laner.
I'll concede my point, but followed up with that he is not that much more, or like that much below the middle of the pack mid laners, and that being second to last with how strong the mid lane pool is this season is probably not a bad thing. And when you compare like his price to all the other mid laners, like he was a value pickup for what he can do for his team.
I was say out of all the other mid laners, actually, I think the second cheapest mid laner was Thor at 325, then Wang at 350. So you're front for, if you exclude the Boy Butter mid laner. So he went for
Less than half.
Right.
They
If you're
went.
talking value, it's definitely Zwirbs.
Yeah, Zwirbs has been solid value. I'd agree with that.
With Wang though, he has had some bad laning phases, but you guys have played almost the same team composition like every game, and he plays like Oriana.
Sure. Let's actually move on to the full Mai Wang discussion, because
Yeah.
I think just with the Mai Wang mystique, we have to go here eventually.
I have something to come with after the Mai Wang Mystique then on that track, but let's do this first.
30, before I finish interrupting you, if you want to finish what the point you were making.
I recall this in Nivea game. I just recall his laning phase as a Nivea. That's all I
happened
can
in that
remember.
game, so we had sight of the enemy team at level 1, and we knew where Epic Yandere was starting as Udyr, and Wang, being a jungler, was trying to just mind game way too hard. He knew what Epic was going to path, so he knew where he was going to get ganked from, except he was wrong. So Epic walked into his lane and set up just the easiest kill in the world onto a Nivea after Wang made like a bad flash, and Thrifty just went off like he does when he gets the early first blood.
Yeah. So do you think that's a weakness of Wang, where he'll try to overthink some matchups, or he'll like try for the outplays when he really shouldn't?
I think he's gotten better as the season's gone on because I think he has a lot more faith in his team now than he does in, say, week 1 because we've shown that we can play the team game.
I would agree with that except for last night. He played really well outside of laning phase, but in laning phase he didn't feel the Zonias against a straight Jarvan damage mid.
So I will admit there was a point in the game where I looked, I was like, all right, Wang's 0-3-0, Blabur's 4-0-0, and we spent all of pregame talking about what Wang needs to do in this matchup because I'm a fucking Jarvan expert. And I was pretty upset. But when I watched the VOD, I actually don't think Wang did as bad as his score indicated.
No, he didn't do as bad as the score indicated, but like he just didn't even build properly for the matchup.
But he wasn't that afraid of Blab. I don't think he needed to be either. I don't think Blab was playing Jarvan very well. I don't think Blab built Jarvan very intelligently.
I'd debate that.
I mean, we could probably go off for a while here, so we're not going to.
Yeah.
But I can see the logic. Wang was building 2 team fight, and as soon as we got actual skirmishes going, it worked really well.
After smoke screen.
So the point I want to get to with Wang is, obviously this was a guy whose stock was at like an all-time low going into this season after the WCF fiasco. What do you guys think about Wang now compared to where he was at when he was playing in the jungle? Like, is he substantially better, or do you guys think that he's still kind of the same old Wang, just on a good team?
It's the direction. It's your shot calling, dude. Like, it's that. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I think he's doing well this season.
Brutal.
Is it the fact that Wang is no longer in the jungle? Is that what we need to revitalize the Wang?
Okay, no, I will say this. Wang is actually, I think, a better competitive mid laner. Like in a 5s environment, he plays mid better than jungle, but I'm sure he's actually a better solo queue jungler overall from the duo games I've played with him in the past. But because he has that mindset, like he needs to make the plays, and on jungler that's like great and all, like in the early laning phase, but as a mid laner, especially when you play Nivea and Orianna, that's not what you should do in the laning phase.
That's respectable.
Right,
I don't know. He's better than last season. That's all I could say, man. But I think I have to wait till some more games to see.
All right, let's switch to another mid laner that I think there's a lot of questions about. Let's talk about Thor Odinsson a bit, and this is gonna, I think, tie together with the two in a moment. So, I believe Thor won't let me forget this, so I will say I called him, and I quote, trailer dick garbage in the preseason. Was very unimpressed with him going into this split. Just in all the games I play with him, and I know I wasn't alone in that. And I actually been really impressed by him this season. I think he's played really well in the mid lane. And I actually think the discussion for the top or 3rd and 4th place mid lane is, it's obviously Thrifty and Blabur in the top tier. But then I think it's really close between Wang and Thor for the next two. How do you guys feel about Thor?
All right, can I start being on his team? So if you look at the track record of champions I played in the SBL, we started out the season with me on Graves, and I proceeded to continue to try to play carry champs top lane until this very last week, which is the first time in this season of SBL that I have not been on a carry top laner or a champion top that can carry games. I'm not saying that Poppy can't, but she's a tank. So, reasoning behind that. Going into the season, I was where Swift was about Thor. I didn't think he was very good. I thought we were going to have to be putting him on support mid laners like Lulu in order to try to salvage the situation and have our carries be elsewhere. Things have changed since then because he has far outseeded expectations. His Azir game was absolutely disgusting last Tuesday, and he has continued to do that on multiple different champions during our practices. And that is why I'm willing to play tank champions now.
Okay, I agree with all that.
He's definitely improved a lot throughout the season, and something I will definitely give him also props for is he's like consistently trying to improve and learn better. He's like come up to me and he's asked me about matchups, things like that, build paths, what he thinks about this, where about like we're not trying to abuse this power spike on this champion against them. Like, this isn't just someone who's like exceeded expectations because like they're better than everyone else thought he's better than everyone else thought he was at the beginning. He's also like actively trying to improve and become a better mid laner as much as he can throughout that, and it's really showing as we've seen him like go from like really timid games at the beginning towards like this latest Azir game where he was putting out lots of damage, just playing the lane how he needed to play it, and then showing up in team fights. He's comfortable with his team and he's willing to use that to his advantage.
I'm just going back looking through VODs to try to remember how these players did. These have a terrible memory. But I'm really curious about the mid Nautilus.
Yeah, I would say the mid Nautilus with the I would say he had the mid Nautilus with the Gragas to abuse by lack of mobility on Zyra.
Yeah, like what was that all about? Was that like he loves the Nautilus?
No, that was planned. That was planned.
That's a plan. That actually was a meta pick for a little like a really like odd meta pick that was seeing some play in the East, as a counter to certain immobile mages in the mid. Because you pick another jungle who synergizes with it well, and I don't remember if you've seen the VODs, but there's literally a play where he like throws his hook, misses, and he's like, all right, fuck it, and just flashes onto me and hits R. And I was like, oh, well, I can't do anything, because even if I flash, the jungler's going to be here, and the jungler's going to CC me right afterwards, and then he's going to walk up and root me, and I'm going to die anyways. Like, it has so much CC that it's really it doesn't, like, there's no outplaying point click R, you're getting knocked up. Like, it's not something you can easily outplay. And so, because of that, it has a lot of its super an effective cheese strategy. Actually, I would say it is a cheese strategy, but it's a very effective one if the people are not prepared for it.
All right, so for fun here, to tie this back together, to those of you that don't have either of them, who would you rather have on your team, Thor or Mai Wang?
Oh, God. You're so good at asking questions, Swift, dude.
I'd rather have Thor on my team. Part of that's just because I'm already expecting that I'll be in the mid lane. I feel like Thor can play
maybe let's say
positions.
For the mid laners, you have to replace yourself with one of the two.
Can I go top or something? Or like
you
support?
You get to stay on the team, but you're playing your second role.
I'd still probably grab Thor.
I'd probably second that.
He'd just because he gets along better. Mainly because he probably gets better along with my teammates than Wang would.
As far as I know, the only person
pool is a little more diverse. I feel like he's got a more diverse champion pool in the mid lane than Wang. Wang could have more than I've known, but I've only seen him play so much.
Oh, I want to say so much right now.
Yeah, exactly. Baited.
Say it.
No, I'm not gonna. Okay, guys, fine. I will say it. Mai Wang is in the top 4,000 players in North America in terms of number of games played. If you think he has a small champion pool just because everyone in this league is too stupid to take a Zoriana away and make us play something else, LOL. There, I said it.
Counterpoint, he is in the top 4,000 of players in North America with games played, and he still ranks below half the people in this, well, the top third of people in this league in solo queue.
Yeah.
We have over 300 confirmed kills, too.
Yeah, that metric you gave Swift is, like, useless.
It means he's one of those garbage players that plays a lot and could probably play a lot of champions because he plays a lot. That's all I'm saying.
That's a terrible
idea. Would you say the
idea
bronze
queue,
5 guy who has like 80,000 hours into this game or whatever, like the guy who's bronze 5 and has like literally the 5th most game?
I bet he has a gigantic
champion
pool, actually.
Champion?
I wouldn't say he's good at every champion. I would say he has a gigantic champion pool, which doesn't mean you're good at every champion, but it means you can play multiple or many champions to your level, which for that bronze 5 guy is... Urgot does not have a large champion pool.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of game time.
But Wang doesn't just play one champion. I mean, I know you guys have scouted him out.
Do you think he's a better Urgot player than you are?
Urgot? For Wang?
Yeah, Urgot.
Urgot's definitely a better Urgot player than I am. He's gold. Okay, enough Urgot. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry,
unless
I'm just
anyone else had anything they wanted to add about Wang or Thor.
To answer your original question, it's a toss up. I take either one. I like both of the people equally, and I think they're both equally good players.
Yeah. The thing is, like, they just have two totally different styles of how they like want to play out the lane.
All right. So all I'm gonna say before I change subjects real fast is, Alice, when you mentioned you think Thor would get along better with your team, as far as I know, the only person Wang doesn't get along with is Albinojoe. So.
Oh. Fair enough.
We're gonna switch over to something I'm really interested to hear what everyone has to say, because I think there are a lot of opinions that can be had about this. Who do you guys think is the best top laner in the SBL?
Saw that coming.
I wanted to segue off the Wang play.
Hold on. Can we?
Let's tie back to Wang. We'll tie back to Wang and then go back to this.
All right.
Wang's the best top laner.
Wang, because I mean, Wang is obviously like a phoenix rising from the ashes. He came from WCF, the only SBL team to never have a win.
They might not hold that record.
WCF number 2.
Okay,
They're
actually,
0-5.
Do you guys actually? I think this is way more fun. Do you guys think that Boy Butter is going to go 0-10?
I could see it.
Possible.
I don't want them to,
is the
but
husk of the man he once is, and I love Wes, but he is free falling elo. It has tilted him so much he is falling in solo queue. Wes is Platinum 2 right now, for anyone who does not know.
yeah, I have an inside scoop on a lot of the team atmosphere of Boy Butter. It's not looking good. But
yeah,
the best top laner,
your eternal life mate is the top laner.
Yeah, I was gonna say the best top laner in the league is I'm Just Stan. If we're going off the idea that he is like the true embodiment of a top laner, he has the hashtag top laner mentality more than everyone else in this league.
Maybe when Ignite was meta.
What does that even mean?
He fucking plays to win, man. He'll carry your ass.
You don't think the Purplepicklepie plays to care? You don't think that I play to care? You don't think that OnTheWind or
No. You guys have a limit. You guys are like, you guys hold back and are like, oh wait a minute, I should teleport to the bot lane.
Oh, you mean we're smart? We know what we're doing and know how to actually affect the map outside of our lane.
No, dude, I'm just saying Dan's gonna straight style on you.
Like how he styled walking into a Poppy ult at 12 HP.
Yeah, dude, there was a bigger plan at hand. You just don't get it yet. Hashtag top laner mentality.
I was literally charging my ult before he came at me.
Maybe we'll add to, in addition to not talking about your teams, except for when provoked, you shouldn't talk about your sexual partners.
Probably a good idea.
So, but for real though, top lane I think has been really exciting this season, and to me, other than Madam Strip, you can make a case for all 5 top laners that are man in this league. All 5 of them have had some really excellent games.
Yeah,
and all 5 look like they're really important to their team's success.
Most of them have very separate styles too, which is cool. Because you see Scotch playing pretty much exclusively tanks, versus people like Purple who are almost always on carries or anti-tanks.
I think Purple's played tanks like 3 of the games.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched
One of the
that.
best games he played Nautilus.
All right, fair. Oh, just
but what about
that
you?
To Dan. I don't know. Oh, me?
Yeah, didn't you play Fiora a couple games?
I played Fiora 1 game. It was banned pretty much every other one.
Yeah.
Oh no, 2 games. 2 games. I've won 1 game with. I'm 1-1 with Fiora. I think. Yeah.
I don't know. Tanks are just too good right now. Or sorry, bruisers are just too good right now.
No, they're tanks.
Oh, are they?
Straight tanks are usually like
Bruisers got nerfed in the last patch. Tanks did not, because tanks go Sunfire into Frozen or Iceborne.
But there's tons of champions.
Tanks slap like bruisers right now is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you can play all the best tanks like Akali and Fizz.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You can play damage champs and then build the items that give you tank stats and then like some sort of weird offensive ability. To me, that's a bruiser, but I guess you're building full tank on a damage champion, so I don't know what you call that.
They're just writing out base damages.
Yeah, that's what is in right now. Yeah, sure. The full tanks I do agree are very good right now. Nautilus, Poppy, Trundle, Mundo, like the full tank guys.
You forgot about the best tank.
Malphite?
Trundle's the
Shen?
definition of a bruiser.
Rammus, dude.
Oh, Ramus. Oh yeah. I sorry. Have we seen a
Trundle's
Ramus top
bruiser
in
more
this
than a tank.
league?
Not yet.
No.
Nope.
See, that's yeah. Okay.
That's because all of our mid laners are sensible and take damage mages. That's not
That's
true.
no fun.
It's not even true.
Everyone looks at Black.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, like, see, that would have been a perfect game for Scotch to pick a Rammus.
Which game?
Huh? When he oh wait, hold on, I'm mixing up the games, aren't I? Fuck.
You're not even telling us which games you're mixing up, so probably.
Oh, just this last week, when you were top, but I mixed it up and thought the Scotch on Nasus was against that, but that was your team versus Think Twice Die Once. No. Okay, I just ignore me. Ignore the past 20 seconds of me talking.
I have words for the
Apparently
Nasus pick, but I'll get back on topic. What was the original question?
So I was gonna go which top laner is the best in the league, but why don't we actually maybe break this down one at a time? 30, you had some words about Dan. I think everyone else had some counter words about Dan. So let's talk about just Dan.
Yeah.
I think you can make it to start with. I think you can make a case that he's been the best top laner in the SBL. I don't think he has been, but you can make a case. But I think the more interesting thing is I think you can make a case that he's been the best player on Boy Butter.
That's
great.
Over who? Like, yeah, who's gonna beat him?
Albinojoe is the only competition. Those have been the best players on Boy Butter.
Oh,
At least not factoring in what might be happening outside of the game. In the spectatable game, those have been the best two players on the team.
Yeah.
By far.
Dan is so hot right now. Like it's solo queue wise. I mean, I talk to him all the time about his solo queue performance. I've never seen him perform in solo queue this well ever. And like, he's had some pretty bad seasons solo queue wise. Like there was that whole season where he changed his name to Victor Yi and played like Master Yi jungle, like exclusively for like 200 games. This season I think he's currently 12-1 with Shen and then like 13-2 with Quinn in the top lane. Like
that is 13-3 with Quinn, 12-1 with Shen.
Yeah, like I've duoed with him. He's literally
like on Monday, unless he traded more games recently.
Yeah, he's carrying me in when we duo, and he just got to plat 5 like really quickly. When he was placed in like gold 5, so like he went up a whole rank in like the span of this like first round robin. Like he is on fire. It's just that his team is not there to like back him up and make sure he's like on fire.
Maybe he's stealing Wes's elo.
Yeah, that seems like a real possibility. I mean, the season I was with Dan, before that point in time, that was season 4 of the SBL. Before that point in time, Cruisemaster was a great support, one of the better players in the SBL. After that season, Cruisemaster has been garbage. Maybe he's just an elo vampire, and every season he picks a victim.
He steals their elo and increases his own power.
I mean, Mikuro, before last season, was a good mid laner, and then he was just this garbage jungler, and he's been a non-factor this season. Maybe it was Mikuro last season. I think I'm going to have to launch an investigation of this, because I don't know if elo vampires are allowed in this league. That's kind of shady.
Okay, this season I'm just gonna add quick. Mix played 2 games and he's won them both. Just saying.
Accidents happen.
What?
Wait,
Did
no.
he win that? Wait, did he?
He
win
won the
one where
Shyvana
he was
game?
on Shyvana
No, he didn't.
top? There's no way.
We won-
Like, he got
No.
blasted.
Yeah,
He
he
lost
got
the Shyvana game, dude.
Okay,
I thought we won that game.
no.
Which
I
was
don't
that?
think that's a case for him winning though.
No, but yeah, he lost. I remember he did lose lane pretty hard, but I'm pretty sure we won that game.
Hold on, I need to find this.
Okay,
now.
so your original question
Someone
was,
does research.
who do you think the best top laner in the
Yeah,
league
go
is?
find
the
it.
records, but I am in the car.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up now. You guys go on talking.
Okay, well, 30 go on
Please
then.
do.
Yeah, I think it would be.
You can say it. I know you don't want to say it.
Purplepicklepie.
Alright, so we'll move on to Purplepicklepie next then. So, Purple, there was a lot of hype last in the off season, leading up to week 1. Purplepicklepie was a guy who I think escaped the flaming ruins of WCF the most unscathed. Everyone was just kind of willing to go like, well, Purple's really fucking good. it clearly wasn't his problem that WCF happened, and we all just assumed he was going to bounce back. And then week 1, he has this monster game on Nautilus after drawing 3 bans, and we're like, holy crap, he could draw all the bans, and he doesn't even have to play carries. And my purple erection was at its hardest at that point. But I don't think he's been good, but he hasn't been like a step. He hasn't been what we saw out of him in week 1 since then. He had a just atrocious Jax game, and he also had a really awful game as Jarvan versus me in week 4. But then when he goes off, he goes off fairly hard.
I think this last week on Trundle was pretty brutal.
God, that was disgusting. That was everything we knew about Purple and Scotchonaut as players all happened at once.
So I like how when the casters for that game, when that game had to get remade due to the issues, there was definitely a mention of maybe the Nasus will be able to tone down like how hard he was getting wrecked. It only got worse after the remake.
Well,
like even after he knew what was coming, there was nothing he could do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like Purple, he's a smart top laner, but I think he's a very mechanically gifted top laner. And like he thought that matchup was like a complete joke. He was just straight laughing when the game was paused.
It is a complete joke.
It was that matchup was like done. There was nothing else Scotch could have done. Purple had his number the entire fucking game.
I don't know like what was going through. Like maybe Alice can let us know.
I said earlier, I have some words for the Nasus pick.
Like, why would you
that
ever
was like
pick
some
Nasus
real bad shit
against that lane matchup, or even better against
because I
opposition.
pick his champ. End statement.
You don't pick his champ?
I have 3 out of 4 times.
What about the 5th?
He has played 4 games. We had
okay.
Week 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Quote, I trust you, Scotch.
I trust Purple too, but then he apparently he picked Jarvan into Renekton, and then like later on doing some investigation, we've all realized that was like a really bad matchup apparently. So yeah, I trust Purple most of the time.
Was the investigation watching the game?
Yeah, the investigation was watching the game, and then like a couple days later, Purple is like just talking to me. He's like, "Lol, I think Jarvan's like a horrible matchup actually against Renekton." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and I watched the mod. I'm like, "Okay." I took some notes.
I just want you to know that since that game, I've played the Renekton versus Jarvan lane like 4 or 5 times as both ends of that lane, and I've never like once played that lane beforehand. And I've just found it to be really funny that I get to actually apply SBL knowledge to solo queue because it normally goes the other way around. So thank you, Purple Pickle Pie.
How did that matchup go for you in solo queue when you played Jarvan against Renekton?
I got bodied.
Yeah, that would do
it. For what it's worth, the Renekton was diamonds, and I
Johns, no Johns.
Yeah. I think Purple. I think it's only up from here, guys. I think he's pretty damn good.
Purple strikes me as one of those players where you don't want him to have too much input on the draft of the game. Just straight up, you want other people to kind of do the most of the planning and be like, all right, Purple, you're gonna pick this, sound good, but phrase it in a way where he feels like, yeah, that does sound good. I like that. I was kind of thinking that actually, and then once he's in the game, you just let him go.
Well, here's a question: who do you think is the least talkative on my team?
Purple or Zwirbs? I guess I wouldn't be surprised if it's Ghost. I know. Who the hell talks on your team besides you?
Everyone, except for Thermidor.
Wait, hold on. Do they talk or do they answer your questions?
They talk.
Back to the high metaphor.
Good meme. No, literally everyone talks, and everyone has input in the draft. Everyone has input in macro, except for Thermidor.
Thermidor was very quiet on Guerrilla Radio as well.
Yeah, no, but Thermidor is a straight G, and I just learned last night, or 2 days ago, that he's 31 years old and has a second kid on the way.
Yeah, dude, he's a straight G.
He's super good at the game.
In SBL Season 25, we see his children coming up to take the reins from him.
That got too real. Alright, so I think we hit a lot of depth on purple, so let's move on. I want to go to Scotch next, because I feel like this is a really interesting point in the season to talk about him. Obviously, he missed week 1, and 2K2S gets bodied by Waifu Superstar fairly handily, with no one besides Thrifty Senpai showing any signs of life. They proceed to win 3 games fairly convincingly. They get to meme about how Scotch came back and fixed everything the whole time, and they also made some other roster swaps. They put RNG Keizokami, aka Frisky Oni-chan, in at AD carry after week 3, and him and Zaku been the bot lane since, with Boom Trooper on the bench. But they clearly just looked like they took a step forward with Scotch, and then last night Scotch gets completely bodied by Purplepicklepie.
But that was a bad matchup. But yeah, that's true. Scotch is the best role player in the league. I've never seen any player. Tank? Yeah, well, sure. If that team needs tank, which it seems like they do every game, right? Tanks are important to have in League of Legends. He plays it, and he plays it really well. He has like really good TP awareness, and he's like the best team player. He's also like really patient and passive. He knows when to not lose his lane, except for last night. See, honestly, I love Scotch. I thought he was a great top laner until last night. Or 2 nights ago.
I'm gonna be honest here. Last night was really disappointing for me on a personal level, because I also loved Scotch. I was like, this guy's not that great at laning phase, but he's kind of like Sneaky in every support he's ever played with, where no matter how bad the support is, Sneaky could be up against the last place LCS team and they'd go even in CS. They could be up against Forgiven and Matza and they'd go even in CS. That's just what they did. And I was like, Scotch is turning into that guy in the top lane. This is just so wonderful. I know he's going to be better at team fighting. This is a player I could never be, but I can admire. And then last night, Purplepicklepie ran his big diamond dick all over Scotch and it was not okay. I watched someone I enjoyed watching die in front of me. And I'm off the Scotch and hype train. He sucks.
What the hell is wrong with both of you?
Okay, no. That matchup, dude. Seriously, if he would have picked one of his other 5 normal tanks, that would have been an alright Scotch performance.
He made the choice to pick the champion.
That's true.
Just I'll take it every time I choose the wrong champion.
Yeah, you know what? You have to fault him for that. I do. I fault him for saying I want to pick Nasus, but everyone makes mistakes. That was a small mistake that snowballed into a really big mistake.
But I mean, this has always been Scotch's playstyle, is that sometimes he does just lose his lane, like, fairly hard. And especially, like, I know I'm personally disappointed I don't get to play him until week 10, because I want to see what happens when we play against each other. I hope we get a playoff series, because I'm confident that when I play against Scotchonaut, I can be the deciding factor that puts my team over the edge. Okay, maybe that dead silence means we're ready. We'll switch off the Scotch here. We'll get to the topic I wanted to avoid. Me. What have you guys thought of me in the top lane?
Obviously, your shit, dude.
Okay, besides my teammates who are all garbage. I just want you guys to know everyone on my team is a fucking moron. But I know, for real. So, some context here. So, I've only played top lane in 3/4 of one season in the SBL. That was season 5. I'm basically Jim Kelly. We finished 5th. I was on that team with Blabuer, and it was widely regarded as a failure of a split. And I was not expecting to play top lane this season. I put it as a 7 just for the sake of being thorough, and I thought that everyone involved knew you put me at AD carry when you draft me. Lo and behold, this guy named Muffin comes along and picks me back up, and I know about 30 seconds later I'm going to have to play top lane because Salvo's already on the team. And I feel like the expectations were fairly low on me just because of how poorly my last SBL season went from top lane. So I'm curious what you guys think about the state of Ajs Zero in the top lane. OnTheWind, you're a top lane player, so we'll start with you because I feel like you tend to have quite a bit of insights on everything related to that lane.
All right, so opinions on you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you don't fuck up your draft phase, I think you usually do pretty well. or if you actually like go into lane with confidence. So like we talked a lot after our matchup where you were just like a complete non-existence in that entire game where your team lost to, well, your team's basically only loss. But you've also shown up and completely carried games with Renekton TPs and most likely shot calls during the games. It is difficult to shot call from top lane, and like I can respect that, especially with you not really losing lane despite having to do that. Which is great. Like I am all about utility top laners. That's where I basically like started my my SBL career, is being trash in lane, but being a team player and helping everywhere else. And I don't think you actually had to have mechanical skill to do well, which is really why I trash on Purple so much, is because while he probably is the most mechanically gifted top laner out of everyone here, I don't think that he knows how to play around the map as well as people like Swift. So mechanically, I think you're like middle of the road top lane. You have like decent mechanics with like freezing lane or pushing that, and the biggest thing is that a lot of top laners, when they get frozen on or can't do things in lane, just kind of are lost because they don't know how to play the rest of the map, which I think that is one of your biggest strengths, is being able to do that.
I think Swift has the best, like to go off with the idea of like freezing lanes and like wave management and knowing when to trade. Swift is like, you can't. I don't think anyone can beat him in that. Like, so, I know you, Swift. Like you know all of this stuff inside and out, mainly because you played AD carry, where all that stuff is literally all it is down bot, because sometimes it can get really boring and it's a farm fest. So it's all a matter of like, do we push this in? Do we bounce it off the tower? Do we freeze it here? Like, you know all of that inside and out. It just comes down to, am I going to go off on Renekton or not?
Now, to my credit, I do want to add, I have drawn bans and picks away in every single game I played. In addition to the Renekton bans, 2 weeks in a row now, opposing teams have picked Jarvan away from me, which I believe I've only played once in the SBL this season.
SBL, yeah, but your match history is filled with it, and I know you played it when I was on your team, so.
Oh yeah, no, everyone knows I play it. It's just, I definitely think that has been a big underrated part of our game, is that draft strategies have evolved so much around me. We've freed up Salvo to consistently get his power picks, or, you know, everyone on the team really, because we I feel like have a lot of power picks. And I feel like the fact that teams are still choosing to ban my champs instead of, you know, big time meta picks or the stuff we know my teammates can go off of, yet I'm still having impact in these games, has been relevant. Alright, did anyone else have anything they wanted to add? Otherwise, we are going to switch gears onto OnTheWind, the last of the 5 good top laners.
More like in the trash, am I right? No, okay.
I'm really glad everyone just stayed silent and like own up to that one. That was not good. That was 20 seconds that people are never going to get back. I have a stopwatch going, so I was able to time it. And I'm even dragging this out so that people are going to direct even more of their hate towards
Move on.
So Kyle, I think, has been solid this split. I think we see a lot of it mid and late game. A lot of just the way your playstyle works has been a big factor for your team. Like, your laning phase, you've had a few that have been kind of shaky, but you've also had some that have been really good. Obviously, your lane versus me was probably your best laning phase all season, from what I remember. But I just feel like there's a lot of games where I catch myself going, "Oh, OnTheWind doing making a play here in a fight," and I think you've definitely looked better than your score in a lot of games. And it might just be because I fetishize top laners who know what they're doing, and I think alongside me, you're the one that is a top laner who knows what he's doing. That's OnTheWind in a nutshell, guys. He's a top laner who knows what he's doing. So, I get a feeling we're not going to get a whole lot of the who is the best top laner in the SBL question. So, we're going to just move on unless anybody wanted to add something to that real fast before we change topics.
I think we're good to move.
So, moving on here. If you guys have the stream up, we actually have... I'd like to talk about maybe the draft really fast. So, I'm curious who you guys think so far has looked like the worst draft pick in terms of money spent to result gains.
Master Splinter.
Okay, aside from Master Splinter. That one was
I'm
too
only
easy.
saying that because like he's gone for that much in previous seasons and like completely carried his garbage teams. And like going into this season, it was looking really promising with Splinter in the jungle and getting Dan for so cheap. That like that was supposed to be a really scary team. I was actually like a little iffy about that because if Dan like just went off and Splinter went off and they just got each other super fed, like they were gonna be really strong. But yeah, we can go to other teams if we're not going to include Boy.
Well, actually, no, I don't want to go to another team. I actually want to go to another player on this team.
Atrocious.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
This
where
is
you're
the
going
kill
with this,
team.
Swift. Yeah, I can see that too.
I don't even think Master Splinter is the issue. I think if you take the $3 they spent on caking, this team could be just leaps and bounds better than they currently are. King has been by far the worst AD carry in the league. I mean, guys, last night there was an actual SBL game. This was played on a stream. There's VODs of it. It mattered in the standings where his Bard did more damage than he did his Caitlyn. That happened in the game.
Okay, but so say they don't get K-King, who do they get? Like, I remember that was actually a fairly late pick in the draft, and most of the big name AD carries were off the board.
Well, but as far as value goes, like, obviously we can't say at that point in the draft what they would have done. That's just, it was badly played out by Fritz. This draft was just fairly poor. The only big thing I remember from this draft was they actually made a really serious run at me, which drove my price up to as high as it went.
What about that team? What about you on AD carry in that team?
I think that team would be worse than the team I'm currently on, so it didn't. I'm glad it didn't happen.
Okay, but it's better than Boy Butter.
Absolutely, they would have won a game by now. I'm very confident of that. I just wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Right, with you not wanting to play with Cruz and everything, right?
Yeah, it's for the best. But I mean, you know, for $3 they got K-King. For 50 cents, Boom Trooper went fairly late in the draft. I mean, would you rather have a guy like Boom Trooper starting and then you can use that extra $3 to pick up a real mid laner? Cruz went for $1.50. Mai Wang went for $3.50. I mean, that extra money could have gone to pick up a mid laner like Wang. There's just so many. It would have been a domino effect to not spending that $3 on King, who, despite all the criticism, doesn't seem to really want to turn things around. I mean, just those two picks, to me, have really damned Boy Butter, because they have some really nice values outside of that, with Albinojoe at $1.50 and Just Dan at $1.25. Like, if you get two picks, like, if you know going into a draft that your team has those two picks, you have to assume that you're going to be a super competitive team.
Didn't Dan go really late?
I think most of this team did.
Yeah, I think they did, but I still think it is, like, there's some Swift... What Swift just said, basically, is, like, two of their team went for, like, a decent amount and they haven't performed, and another two went for super low and have been the best on their team. Like, there's some massive difference between what their money says they should be doing and how they're actually performing.
Right.
And I still don't know what to think about Madlore, so I'd like to see him play more games so we can get an idea if he actually, like, how he actually plays. Because we only see him, like, 2 games any season.
Maybe their team just doesn't believe in miracles enough.
No,
I think they have to
believing in
start.
Miracles, don't
I
worry.
think they have to start real quick.
Yeah, no, they're starting.
It's really funny to imagine that, like, if West just believed in God, they'd be winning games. Because Manlo would come and grant them the miracles, but West is
That's
not
true.
a godly man. And so Manlord himself has damned this team to eternal losing. They'll be the second WCF.
I mean, I think most of the price, like, most of it, where it doesn't seem to fit, is on that team. Most of the other people I'm looking at here on this are living up or overperforming how much they went for. And that
I actually agree with that. I'm skimming this over, trying to find even somebody else. I mean, the next name that even sticks out to me is Lord Cruisemaster at $1.50. Like, that's the next thing that jumps out as what I think is just a really bad value for what the return on investment is them. So maybe this will be a better question after the season's over when somebody has 5 more weeks to make themselves look like garbage. Obviously, that 5th place team will probably have a case.
Yeah, I think at this point, kind of the flip side of that question is better is who's been the best value. You'd probably get better arguments out of that.
Yeah, I think we would, but I think we'd also spend a lot of time circle jerking, so we're gonna avoid that one for tonight. We're gonna save that for the award show.
That's fair.
I want to go over a few individual players, just that for various reasons. So we're gonna just kind of go one at a time, see what everyone's feeling here. So first person I want to talk about is Thrifty Senpai.
Oh boy.
That's you.
So
Me?
I think he has been just fucking phenomenal this season. This is looking like it's really close to a return to form for him after kind of being second fiddle to Master Splinter the past few splits. As I believe we brought up during the cast last night of his game, he is currently the only player in the SBL in Diamonds. He's steadily holding Diamond. Alice, are you Diamond 5?
Yeah. I'm like 40 LP or something.
So
like
Diamond
that,
5,
40 or
not much
50.
LP, but you are holding Diamond LP. Meanwhile, Master Splinter has recently lost Diamond. He is hemorrhaging Elo as fast as humanly possible as he syncs with all of Boy Butter, currently in Plat 2. Vivareth is currently in Plat 3, although he hasn't been playing as much as those two, but he hasn't particularly looked like a Diamonds player, in my opinion, either. But Thrifty is just really, I think every single week, I can't think of a single game where he hasn't at least been an MVP candidate for his team. And in both of their losses, he's had huge games.
No, I can agree with that.
Feel like there's anything to add.
Even in games where like he gets completely shut down early, like I'll bring up our game against them just because I'm most familiar with that. When he was like really far behind in lane against the super cheesy Nautilus mid lane, he still came back and like carried team fights where one of his plants like soloed our AD carry. And just like the placement of his abilities or like knowing how to use his champions even when he's behind is just incredible. Because being able to play from behind is something that like you need to be able to do in these leagues. Otherwise, your team's gonna pay for it.
Yeah, especially when you're someone who's getting $9 spent on him, you're gonna get targeted, which very much happened, I think, on his second Zyra game, and it didn't matter in the long run. I mean, they managed to keep him down for longer, but he still went off eventually. He was like 6-4, but that 6-4 was him basically keeping all aggro on him for the whole game, and still doing decent while it was happening. So yeah, I'd say probably one of the best like performers so far.
All right, gonna switch up onto
Thanks, guys.
a
Made me feel
player
good about
I'm
myself.
really curious to hear what you guys have to say. His name is Salvo, and I feel like the opinions of him are going to be very different from outside of his team compared to inside of his team. So I'm curious what you guys think of Salvo. Obviously, there was a ton of hype on him going into the season. As we all know at this point, he quit his job to play more League of Legends. He peaked last season in Platinum 2, which was the highest he'd ever been, and made him one of the highest ranking players in the league. and just really looked like he was a player on the upswing. And when he went for 525 early in this draft to Muffin, everyone was shocked that he went for so cheap. So curious your thoughts on Salvo.
Lab, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I've been quiet, I guess. I think Salvo's a pretty solid player. He's been among my candidate for MVP on your guys' team in most of your wins. I don't know. I think he's just doing as good as he's ever done, and being Salvo.
Yeah, I want to say bad stuff about him, but I can't.
Do you guys think we could plug and play another AD carry in and still have the success the Waifu Superstar is having?
Someone that's worse.
Let's say, hypothetically, we could have Ajs Zero playing AD carry for this team instead of Salvo, while Ajs Zero is also playing top lane. Would this team be substantially worse?
I think that team would be terrible. I think a team with 2 Swifts would just kill itself.
Their calls would just compete where they'd be like, I need this farm.
My dick's
you
bigger.
go top
My
lane.
dick's bigger. I'm the one carrying. No, I'm the one carrying.
Okay, let's say we put just a league average AD carry then in place of Salvo. Would it be a drastic drop off, or do you guys think that Salvo has been integral to the wins the Waifu Superstar has been racking up?
He is integral, but I mean, aside, I'm trying. Like I said, I have a really bad memory. Has there been a lane where you, Tree, and Salvo have just like totally bodied? The only one I can remember is obviously last night, where
Last night's the one, but they've also never picked a 2v2 dominant lane.
User in your channel timed out.
And we just lost Blab. Rest in peace.
Right. So that's
been a big thing. Is they've gone even in a lot of lanes they should have lost. So it hasn't been as flashy. And last night we decided to unleash the tree, and Salvo was very happy about it. They bodied Biveret, who I don't think him and Failed Destiny had lost a lane like that all season.
Right. That's the truly impressive part. Like if last night didn't happen, like if we actually did this on Monday night, I would say he's actually he has just been a league average AD carry, because it seems like every AD carry in this league has played the let's just wait for mid game type of thing.
So
And I hate that.
About,
I
Maybe
hate
they
that
played
shit.
training wheels because they've all played Sivir.
one thing I want to talk about real fast though is Salvo's traditionally never been that great of a laning phase player. Like it's never been bad, obviously, because he's been a very good player. But it's not been like say me, where my strength was always laning phase.
Right. Agreed. Because he's always played long range hyper carries. Or yeah, one of the two. Long range or hyper carry.
Can we pull Blab back in here, Tree?
Yeah.
That's always been Salvo's strength, is that he is so great at positioning. I think it's a really interesting case.
I think something to be mentioned is he's playing champions that don't always have a lot of self-peel, and he's not getting any peel for him in most of these fights. Like, that team just goes like, alright, see ya, Salvo, we're all going off to fucking band camp, you do whatever the hell you want to do. And then Salvo still finds a way to do damage, be relevant in all these fights, and not die a lot of the time.
But his team has never been truly that far behind in the mid game, and they've picked literally the beefiest front lines in all of these games.
I would argue we were that far behind versus Boy Butter.
What?
We were down like 5 or 6K versus Boy Butter.
That's okay. It's relevant to Boy Butter. Fuck, dude.
You should be ashamed even saying that. You're using being behind Boy Butter as justification for something?
That's an entirely different tangent that go on for 20 minutes.
My point is, well, I guess my first question was, has Respect Evolite played against Salvatry?
Yeah, we've played.
Yes,
we've played.
That was the.
Oh yeah, that's the game you guys lost.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And have you guys played against me on support?
Obviously not.
Dick grows.
Okay, so I think this bot lane needs to be truly tested. Because like you just said, Salvo's laning phase
They
is
will
the
be
best.
tested next week. Yeah, Tuesday.
Okay, first of all, I
Who
think
plays next
Snalvo is like a stupid version of Sneaky as a player. Going back to that comparison I was making earlier about how Sneaky, no matter what the situation is, never actually loses his lane. That's Salvo, to me.
But Sneaky knows what items to buy.
That's fine. If Sneaky had me on his team, I could tell him what items to buy if he ever forgot. If he was in a horrible accident, he lost the part of his brain that kept track of which items to buy, and they don't allow you to use champion.gg on stage, Sneaky could just bring me. I'd probably play about as well as Balls.
Brutal.
But no, I think Salvo's
I'm
team
into
fighting is
okay.
very underrated because I agree with what Alice was saying, where we kind of leave Salvo to fend for himself because we know he will.
Yeah, sure. I mean, okay.
I don't think, back to what I originally asked, I do not think we could plug an average AD carry in here and have, I think we would have lost 2 extra games if we replaced Salvo with, say, the 3rd or 4th best AD carry in the league.
I think you'd definitely at least be 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2, but that's...
I said at least, if not worse.
But who are you considering the 3rd or 4th best AD carries?
Let's not worry about that. Let's just say hypotheticals.
Okay.
Rank every single player individually.
Yeah, we're not going to go
All of
into
them.
every single player tonight. Sorry to those of you that expect to be talked about. That'd be a very long stream. So moving on, another player I want to talk about is Mr. Coffee, because I feel like he's actually a really big part of this baddie bargain bin team. Even if he's not their star player, I feel like he's a guy who, when he steps up, will be a big kind of unsung hero for this team. And I think he's actually taken a step forward this season.
I have one statement to say. If you would have said that at the beginning of the season, Mr. Coffee, 3 games in, is going to crush the jungle against West. He's going to flash over Dragon Pit and just solo kill West and take the dragon. Would any of you believe that was going to actually happen?
Coffee talked about that for the rest of the week. So excited about it.
I'm sure he did. That's something that you would never expect. It's like, wait, Kevin Coffee, he bodied kids? He bodied Wes?
Well, I feel like that was just kind of the point where, the child has grown up, and then he's, challenged his childhood idol, and he bodied that fool.
Well, knowing Coffee though, he's one of those players where he has it in it. He's always had it in his mind that, he's always thought to himself that he was worse than other players, and part of that, plus just of how he is as a player, he listens to other whatever his team says. He's always super open to feedback, and when his team says something, he does it. He just does it regardless, and almost to a fault. Salvo was actually talking to him last night after our game, and we got first blood because his team called for a gank, and he was level 2 at half health, but he came in anyway because his team wanted it. He just did it without even questioning.
Interesting.
And used correctly, that's an awesome asset to have on your team.
No, it was he was helpful on my team last time. I was like, Coffee, fight, now, go.
I mean, he's really willing to learn new champions and roles too. He's played way too many different roles. Last season he subbed for me top. He was working on support. He was working on jungle. Now you have him this season playing jungle. He's always just okay, what can I do? What champions can I learn? What can I practice to be good? And I think that's just great to have.
I say anything that you can try to say about his play, he at least makes up for with attitude and willingness to learn.
Right, which I actually, for me, goes a really long way in the SBL. I would love to have Coffee as a teammate. He's the guy, man. I love Coffee. I love talking to him.
I think
he's a good guy.
Talking
but
about
before we
what you
circle
said is
jerk
huge
that,
in the league though is
Just keep sucking his dick.
No, going back also just on this topic though is 30 said it's that's a huge thing. It's being willing to learn and humbling yourself and always trying to improve is a huge thing. It's we've seen that with Thor, I mentioned earlier. Thor has been actively trying to learn, and it's shown that he has improved greatly. That's what you see in a lot of those smaller picks, who go for a little bit less money, who are just willing to make a ton of money. They can really make or break teams.
All right, so closing thoughts on Coffee. It's impossible to say, obviously, what happens inside the team, so you can never know for sure. But I think it's crazy that there's still a competition between Coffee and Mikaro for a starting spot, because I think Coffee has been substantially better than Mick, and he also actually plays the game. Also, I just want to put this idea in some people's heads that Coffee did sign up for this season with a top 9 in the top lane and a 9 in the jungle. Not saying, just saying. So, moving on.
Was that a hashtag bench strip? I heard.
I didn't say. I said saying, just saying. Anyways.
Saying, just saying. Okay.
So, moving on, another player I want to talk about is Kraegin, and I swear I didn't do Coffee and Kraegin in this order just because they're active in Twitch chat. Like, I actually had some notes of things I want to talk to, and these guys were both on this list. So Kraegin, where do you begin with Kraegin? Obviously, the guy has a bit of a reputation. He can be a bit of a goon sometimes. He's known for not taking the game super seriously, sometimes just being kind of tilty. This was all what people, like, this was his reputation going into this season. Obviously, he went undrafted last season, was kind of a surprise. You know, it was a meme, but it was, like, really kind of shocking. And I think everyone kind of assumed this would be a really big prove-it season for Kraegin because he still even went late in the draft and for free to Waifu Superstar. And, I mean, as his teammate, he's absolutely exceeded expectations so far.
Aside from Wang, he has tried the hardest to lose you games, though.
I think he's the worst player on our team, but I don't think it's by, like, a long margin. And when you consider how highly I think of myself and how good the rest of our teammates are, I don't say that in a bad way.
I thought you said all your team is stupid and shit. Or no,
You could be
garbage.
a fucking moron and go to a world finals, dude.
Right.
Look at who's
High's an awful support, but he's a god shot caller, which makes him better than Bunny Fufu for Cloud9 at this point.
Ouch. I mean, you're
Also,
absolutely right.
Everyone on my team's an idiot. Tree and Wang are both smart, like 60% of the time.
The fact that I'm on a team with Wang still scares me to this day.
Yeah. Blab, you go.
Well,
I was just gonna make a joke about the 60% of the time working every time. That's all I need.
Kraegin has some shitty opinions though, because he said in the chat earlier that Tree's a better support than me.
He's correct. You're just a better shot caller.
I don't know about that, dude. But
You gotta play more
Kraegin this season has
that argument, bro.
Let's talk about Kraegin right now, Swift. We can take this one outside, okay? Kraegin has this is by far his best season in the SBL, and he has played a very good supportive jungler role. Yes, I think a lot of teams have messed up their draft against you, including mine. And if I could go back to the game we played, I would have changed a lot with our draft, and I would have played support. I think the game might have gone differently. But the Sejuani and Gragas deal, some team has to test him. Like, you can't let him play these super high margin tank junglers that just scale super well.
Hold on. I'll give you the Sejuani, but I want to just throw out that the game when he played Gragas, he ulted the other team out of Swift's ult 4 or 5 times.
Thank you. Yes, he is trying the hardest to lose your team games.
But his Sejuani play has been on point, and his kill participation in these things have been 11 out of 12 last game, and just incredibly high, where he has been impacting these games. And I don't know if it's your shot calling, telling him where to be, but he has been doing his job on that team. Going into the season, a lot of people, and I think if we go back to the right after draft talk, we talked about Kraegin and Wang being the hit or miss for that team, and Kraegin has been showing up, and you can tell from their 4-1 record.
Wait, so to go off that, who do you think has performed worse, Wang or Kraegin?
Wang or they're different roles. You can't say that they're performing worse because they have to do different things on the team.
But they both had very distinct moments in games that are oh my god, what are you doing? The jungler role when you play tanks, I guess it just doesn't really matter.
Right. Tanks are really forgiving. So just throw your players who aren't all-star players on tanks and call it a day.
Yeah.
All right, well, I personally think Kraegin has been excellent, especially when you consider he was a $0.0 pickup. I do agree he does have some really boneheaded plays, but I think he's gotten better week by week, slowly but surely. And more importantly, it's not just as simple as, oh, just ban Kraegin's champions. Like, okay, you guys want to ban the Sejuani and the Gragas, let's say. You're going to give up, what, Sivir, Jinx, Alistar, Renekton, Jarvan, Orianna? I mean, those are all things that Waifu Superstar will pick up and has been picking up all season. And yeah. I think it's a really good situation for him to be on as this team, because I don't think any team in the league has near as many power picks as we do. And I don't say that as a cocky thing. I think we have a really good combination of meta picks and pocket picks. And I think he's definitely benefited from that, because most teams are, when you have to choose pocket picks to ban, are going to opt to ban the stronger players' pocket picks, which means banning against Salvo and Tree.
Why don't you let him play the junglers he wants to play?
Because we haven't started losing by playing the strategy we're currently using.
So the game comes where all three bans are targeted at Kraegin. What happens?
We still win. Like, we have other strategies. I'm really excited to play them, because I really like some of our other strategies we played in practice games. But I don't think we need to stop doing what's working right now. And I assume that day will come. There's 5 weeks left.
I can assure you that day will come.
And I think we will stomp your team just as hard as we did the first time, 30. All right. So unless anyone else had anything they wanted to add on the Kraegin topic. Next guy I wanted to talk about was Zaku, who has once again firmly placed himself as the starter this time for 2K2S. He's supported the rotating door of Boom Trooper and Frisky Oni-chan, aka RNG Keizokami, giving them a maximum value bot lane of $1 if supporting Frisky. And Zaku has traditionally been, when you talk role player, that's been Zaku. And that's definitely a role he's embraced, and he's done solidly some splits.
He's not consistent. Like, you have games like the game yesterday, or on Tuesday, where he, like, misses almost every Leona ult, which is the champion that's considered, like, one of his top 2 champions. But then you also have games where he just, like, goes off and it's like, what? This kid's supposed to be silver. Like, what is he doing? Like, he's just knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And, like, that's why he's, like, where he's at. I'm not upset about, like, getting him as my support. I don't think that they're, like, a strong bot lane. I think they've lost a lot of their lanes, and I think he, like, has a lot of misplays just based on that inconsistency. But, like, I'm not going to say that he's just complete trash and garbage and he should be on the bench, because that's obviously not true with him playing, this is his 3rd season now, starting as support?
Yep.
I'd say they're one of the bot lanes that likes to play very safe. Zaku loves that Janna pick, among a couple of his other things, but, like, they like to play very safe, and that allows them, even if they're outmatched in bot lane, they can at least just farm, not lose a ton, because bot lane it's harder just to cut someone off from CS, because in order to do that you push up, you get ganked, it's 3 teleports, whatever. But playing safe, so that works for them in laning phase, but when they move out of laning phase is when you start to see the difference in their play. When you get to mid game and you have to start making picks, which often falls to support or jungler top, and that's when you start seeing, like you said, inconsistencies in his play.
Wait, so are you saying that his laning phase is better than his mid game to late game?
I'm saying his mid and late game is usually bad. I'm saying his laning phase is fine. I'm saying he has...
It got tested last night, though. You can't have just fine laning phases against some of the bot lanes in this league.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I think I figured out what my opinion on what's happening is. It seems like Zaku has to relearn the game every time he plays a game. So, you have things where like the later the game goes on, he like starts to understand his role in that game and between those team comps after every team fight and gets like more confident with those, but like starts off very weak, not really knowing what he's supposed to be doing in a lot of those fights, or a lot of the better supports in the league kind of know what they're supposed to be doing all along.
I agree. I mean, his John and Alistar play. I'm outstanding. Like he plays well above his solo queue rank on John and Alistar in some games.
I would argue that Alistar takes no skill.
Okay.
I
Sure.
would have thought so, but the fact that only half the supports in the league can play Alistar makes me concede that there must be some semblance of skill required.
No,
Since
Alistar's
it's patched-
super boring, and I
yeah.
refuse to play it.
It's
hella boring.
It's
This is
super
why
boring.
she's a better support than you, 30.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And Tree,
Oh,
is
wait, but
Alistar the
30.
most boring support in the game?
Oh,
30, I thought.
almost definitely.
I thought you wanted to play support so that you could focus on your shot calling. Why would you not take the least mechanically intensive support
It's so
that can
easy,
also
even Hai can
tower
play it.
dive? Yeah, I can play it, dude. He's your idol.
I can play other tank supports that are way more fun, like Nautilus and Leona. That do essentially the same thing as Alistar.
Neither of those champions can tower dive as well as Alistar.
That's true, but you don't always need a tower dive to win games.
Having that
False.
opportunity and being able to be both disengage and engage very easily, and just having the inherent tankiness is a very large advantage.
That's a moot point because every champion has like pros and cons.
There
I
is a
choose to
reason
pick
why-
pick potential over Alistar.
There's a reason why Alistar is seen play in almost every game in the LCS.
I don't disagree. This is the SBL, dude. I could literally fucking play any support and still win a game.
But how
Prove
come
it.
you haven't won an SBL yet?
A Swift.
Wait, same.
Swift?
I know
Hello?
why I haven't won an
Are you there?
SBL.
Hello,
I'm
Swift?
not,
Are you there?
I'm not, I know why I haven't won an SBL. I'm not the one sitting here saying it's so easy I could just win every game doing it.
That's true. Swift isn't delusional.
I tried to bring Cruise Master along for 5 seasons for charity because I felt bad about all the mystery skins he gives me.
Oh.
Like, now I'm finally
Jesus.
trying to draft a real team for the first time in 3 years. Okay, that got savage. Jeez.
How
I'm
am I
sorry. I don't mean
delusional?
that.
What the fuck? Where
Also,
does this
you
come
don't
from?
mean any of that, Swift.
Alright, we're gonna just change topics entirely. We're gonna rein this back into the SBL. 30's Garbo, we all know.
God damn it, Swift.
Oh
Alright,
my
so
god.
let's get into some. I got one more player I want to talk about here. And that is, speaking of tilt, the king of it, Albinojoe.
Thought you were gonna say Bruce Graph.
We're
No,
spending
no.
so much time talking about Boy Butter.
I think they're just they're so interesting. Like, Boy Butter is going to. WCF was greater as a whole, but I think Boy Butter might be greater as individual players in terms of like how hilarious it is with what's happening. But Albinojoe, look, he's currently won negative 15 games in a row in the SBL. He has a chance to be a part of both winless teams. But is it Albinojoe's fault? I mean, I don't know. I'm really conflicted how I feel about Albinojoe. He's had, I thought, some really good games this season.
He's been by far like one of him and Dan have been the best players on that team. Like, no contest.
Yeah, I don't think you can pin this on Joey. He's had some, like, he hasn't overperformed, like he hasn't done great every game, but I'd say there's no way the 0-5 is his fault.
No, he's not losing them the games.
Yeah.
Maybe the better question would be, how do you guys think he racks up to the other support players in the league? So just running through, we've got Failed Destiny, we've got Zaku, we've got Respect with Lag, we've got Tree, and for the sake of being able to actually have discussion, we'll say we have Ghost, since we've seen more than one game out of him. How do you think Albinojoe's kind of held up to the rest of the pack?
I mean, he's better than Zaku most weeks. some weeks.
They often play the same sort of champions that, well, Zaku in that lane does. They tend to play safer, but he does it way better, and he actually does things out of lane for the most part. And I still don't fully agree with his Bard. I do believe, I'm not Salvo, I fully believe Bard is a good champion. I just think you need a lot of coordination to use that ult correctly.
I mean, I think you can make a case that Albinojoe has been either the second or third best support, behind Tree and maybe Respect.
That's pretty much right.
That was-
I just think that Albinojoe,
Yeah,
like, once the game starts falling apart, he completely falls apart with this team. Like, he's not
That's
going to
true.
hold it together
No,
and,
I
like,
would
save
agree
his
with that.
KDA
think
or
something
anything.
I can
also-
see that.
Something you also have to consider, like, in the vacuum is, like, you're comparing his play, like, he's on a team that's 0-5. All these other people are on teams that have won multiple games.
Yeah, there's been multiple games
This
where
is
just during the
also, like,
laning
considered.
phase, I watch Albinojoe and I'm like, holy shit, he is, like, dragging Kraegin, kicking and
I was saying,
screaming
he's also landing with
into the
King,
mid-game.
is another statement. He's also
Trying
landing
so
with
hard
King.
to save King. Feels bad, man.
I mean, at this point, do you just have to, you know in Game of Thrones, the wildlings north of the wall, there's that one village with the real fucked up guy running in. Every time they give birth to a boy, they just kind of walk out into the cold and they leave the baby there to die and become a White Walker. Is that what needs to be done with Kraegin at this point?
Like, in his current form, or do you want to time travel to get this done?
Probably in his current form. I mean, that seems easier than coming up with time travel.
I'd drop him.
Sometimes I feel bad about how much I'm bullying Kraegin, and then I remember he named the team Swift as shit and won an SBL championship, and I don't feel bad about anything. So, King, this is all karma. It's a bitch.
Yeah, but see, you
Alana
can,
didn't have a say on
You
that
have
team, man.
literally been Garbo the Clown this split.
you can want to say nice things about him, but he has to do something that you like nice to be said about. I don't know.
Alright, so we got Albinojoe in tears. I feel like that's a good place to end this. So, moving on, we're going to go into some more hypothetical stuff here. Do we want to close this with the for fun question or a more serious question?
End with the fun question.
I agree. Okay. So, first of all, this one might be kind of hard. We might not get any real answers out of this one, but who do you guys, of the 5 real teams, is there any team that you guys think is going to just really struggle in a best of 5?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, shit.
I wonder what the serious question was now.
This
That
is the
a
serious question.
Oh, I thought we were doing the
We're
fun
gonna end
one.
on the. We're gonna
No,
end
we're
on
ending
the
with the
Oh,
question.
fun
we were
one.
doing both anyway. Okay.
I'm right with you,
yeah,
Kyle.
no, I'm
I
sorry.
thought he was choosing
I was
one.
with you,
I
Kyle.
got multiple
I was
questions,
confused.
yes. So yes, I realize this is really hard to estimate because, I mean, this is going to be some fucking Reddit tier analysis going on, but sometimes it's fun to post on Reddit, or so I've heard.
Yeah, this
Just
is
going off
anything here is
past
just pure speculation.
seasons, Betty Bargain Bin, because they have 2 players that were with me last season.
What are you trying to say?
I think what
I'm
Kenny's
saying that
trying to
Strip
say is
doesn't
that
play games. Strip doesn't play games, so he doesn't have a lot of champion diversity that he plays at the top level.
All I'm saying is that we had some games of League of Legends. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know about the rest of the season, but I never want to talk about that best of 3 where the average game time was 60 minutes ever again.
It was longer than that. Oh my god. I
Oh,
casted
God.
3 games and I thought I casted like a best
Six?
of 7.
yeah, someday in the future I'm going to convince 30 to watch those VODs with me.
Never gonna happen.
No, I won't. I won't watch those.
Me and tie me up to watch
I
those.
will call his mom during
Yeah.
game 2 and be like, I'm so sorry he didn't make it.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
legitimately
with 30,
think,
dude.
like,
I won't
that was,
watch
like,
those.
65-minute average game time over those 3 games.
I won't watch those. Nothing about those is worth being seen again by human eyes. Or robot eyes. Anyone. Animals, they don't deserve that either.
So I'm
This is
gonna
like
go
our new
on
low-grade torture.
So I'm gonna
Okay,
go on a
game
bit of a
types.
speculative limb here before we reflect on last season too much. I actually think Boosted Friendship is gonna struggle a bit in the playoffs, solely because they have so many people who have never played in a real series before, and I hate to go full Thorin here, but I do think it's kind of hard to trust a bunch of players that have never played a best of 5 to step up and be able to handle potentially 5 hours of high quality, intense League of Legends all going to late game.
That's a good point.
And I don't know what the shot calling is like on that team. I've heard Respect was a shot caller, but I don't think he's been doing much of it this season, mainly due to the lag. Thor's been kind of playing himself up a bit to be the shot caller. I have so much trouble trusting any kind of rookie shot caller in a best of 5. Like, unless this team just styles on everybody and is able to like win games early and snowball.
We didn't get to
I
talk
could see that.
about the boosted bot lane, but I think that is one of the strong points that this season has not been able to see yet, based on circumstance.
I think even with lag, Respect has been doing very well.
Our game against you guys, Respect had like 400 ping. The game would have been a lot different if you didn't have 400 ping. I felt really bad about that.
What if Respect just comes back with new internet this week and just bodies everyone?
Respect wasn't playing that game, dude. That was cheese on support.
No, he was
Respect
playing
was
AD
able to
carry.
carry that game.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. We did have, because we had the double sub. Oh my
Yeah,
god, that
yeah.
was a painful week.
Is this internet
Oh, we had
thing
the
a consistent
double
thing?
sub. Yeah, that was fun. What? No. Everything's good now.
Okay, that's
Shampoo.
good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, no, he's got a new apartment that he will be in for our game next Tuesday, and he has good internet, so he will be in hopefully tip-top shape.
Yeah, can we address the internet problem this last week and like how?
Oh my god.
How
No,
everyone
not
needs
just
to
the
just get
internet.
some good internet.
Not just the internet. This week was a technical clusterfuck all around. Did you see?
My
Twice.
internet died for 35 minutes.
People's internet were dropping left and right. Multiple people on. There was at least one person who had internet problems in every single game. I had 2 fucking separate instances of a spectator bug that just dropped me from the game and I couldn't respectate. Then when we had Dan stream the last one, you couldn't even see the champions that were picked in the pick and ban phase. There was so much wrong this week. It was the worst.
Actually, it was really bad because I told some of my friends, they're like, "Oh yeah, so you did like the SBL thing again?" I was like, "Yeah, guys, you should really tune in. Like, we've gotten really good
Rip.
this year.
You picked the worst week.
Quality, we have good casting." And they like text me like halfway through it, like, and I was like, "This has been a fuck fest." I'm like, "I swear to God, it's never like this. It's
It's
never
funny
bad."
because Wang actually had some guys, one who watches occasionally and one who had never watched before at his apartments, and they were going to watch the first 2 games on the Chromecast while Joe played, and then they were going to watch Wang play. And I was just like, man, what a wrong week.
Yeah, shit, dude.
Oh, God, this week was awful.
Well, sometimes you gotta just SBL through it, boys.
Everything that could go wrong did.
Yeah.
I agree.
Alright,
The
so
league client pulled a boy butter.
Good lord.
on to the second to last thing I had to discuss. This one's gonna be a bit more open-ended, so everyone will probably potentially have some pretty different opinions on this one, but I'm just wondering who you guys think has been the biggest surprise in a good way this season. Let's go with non-rookies, and let's also not relate this to dollar amount at all. Just which player has exceeded the level of play you expected out of them by a lot. So I'll start. I said non-rookies, you fucking deaf, dumb piece of shit. Jesus fucking Christ. You listen to me commentate like you fucking do raid bosses in WoW and FF14. If you would just fucking... I will fucking send you a 500 pack of Q-tips. You use 2 of them after you get out of the shower to clean out those stupid fucking tall ears of yours. And then you just listen to me, okay? And you fucking do what I say.
God,
Anyway, so speaking of Thrifty Senpai, that actually is my pick. I think Alice has been, like, if I had to do a mid-season award ballot, I don't think it's been clear like it is in some seasons, but I do think that I would give Alice the MVP if I were voting on it today. I think a big thing to me is that in both of your team's losses, you've looked really fucking good. Obviously, week 1, you had the game versus Waifu Superstar, where you were the only person on your team to get a single kill, and this week you obviously were starting to go off on Ari. It's just the ship had already been sunk before you had a chance to really go anywhere. And you've also looked very integral in all your wins. I believe you've gotten MVP votes in all 3 of your wins, even in the weeks you didn't win. And, like, we all obviously knew you were good, but you didn't play all off-season. I mean, you took as long of a break as I did, essentially. And you kind of just came back, you just picked it up, and you've looked like the best player in this league to me, when I expected you just to be, like, pretty good.
Man, now I feel bad for, like, intentionally triggering you.
So, Alice, who do you think has been a big surprise?
Out of, like, out of the non-rookies, I've been very impressed by both Thor, and I've been really, really impressed by Purplepicklepie. Like, I know Purplepickle is going to do really well, but he's actually, like, I wasn't really sure, because, like, he's playing another lane, he's doing another thing, and he's still just stomping people over and over again. Like, he's played very, very well in all of his games. Overall. Actually, the Jax game. Oh, damn it. I'm making a second guess myself. Fuck.
Literally 1 out of 5 games. Okay.
Yeah, 1 out of 5
still,
games. So, like,
4 out of 5
really,
still
really
a good
well.
sample size, guys.
Yeah. 4 out
Or
of 5
bad
Alright, hold
games
on.
not bad.
Hold on, though. So, the score that he got with that Gangplank game is not nearly, like, that is way overrepresentative of how well he did, because, like, that game was carried, like, on the back of, I think it was, like, Thermidor.
Thermidor and Vi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
by
actually,
far.
Yeah, no. I was just thinking about something. Question on this. Is this on, like, are we talking about, like, when you said surprises, like, are we talking about, like, best players in, like, the season, or are we talking about, like, just, like, this player did way better than what you were expecting them to do?
The latter.
Okay.
So, like, don't worry about the draft value, like how much money they went for or anything.
Alright, cool. Both you and you, I've been impressed with, like, you a lot, actually. As well.
Alice, I think you were semi AFK when we were talking about me earlier.
Swift sucked ass last season. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say I think you were actually kind of AFK when we were going over some of the top players. I don't think you were around when we were talking about me earlier.
No, I wasn't.
I mean, you know, I've been kind of lonely for a while, so maybe you could talk about my top lane for a bit.
Oh, just don't do it, dude.
Can we? No.
Just don't do it. Don't do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna take back the good things I said about him.
No, but I mean, he has done, like, really, really well. Swift, I gave a Challenger space shuttle metaphor for this team drafting Swift. If that gives you any idea of what I actually thought, like, to get a perspective, I thought Swift was gonna sink the boat. He was gonna blow up the spaceship that was trying to do science.
Swift thought Swift was gonna sink the boat. He was upset when he got on our team and he learned he wasn't AD. He was pissed at Muffin.
Like, I honestly thought that Swift was going to be atrocious. He hadn't played in forever. He came off of a season where he didn't even play very well. And he goes up and he's actually been, like, a solid player on the best record team. So, you guys can call it a circle jerk. But, I don't know. I think that he surprised me. I'm not saying he's the best top laner. I don't know who I'd put as the best top laner.
That's fine. You don't have to put your money where your mouth is.
That's fine.
I would go with Thor. What role has he played in previous seasons?
He was top. I
Top.
think
Played
on
top
16.
lane
Everywhere. He was the
yes,
filler guy.
He played
he
every
played
single
all
everywhere,
five,
yeah.
but he was
Yeah.
a top lane main in 5 or 6 of the games.
Okay, yeah, he definitely surprised me because I don't know
I
if I
said I
really
was gonna play him
understood
too.
how Thor played. And the thing is, actually, SS Boost Friendship, I think it's the team I've least amount of games I've actually watched. For whatever reason, I've only not casted two. It's not any specific reason. I've not casted 2 games this season. I think one of them was definitely yours this last week, and then I feel like it was another game earlier in the season. But for some reason, I don't ever catch your guys' games all the time. But when I do, I always see Thor doing really well in the games that he has played. Obviously, so I guess he has surprised me because he was someone I didn't even think of like he was gonna be a great player.
Oh, he has been far outweighing expectations.
Because Swift called him trailer dick garbage at the beginning of the season, and while I didn't agree with Swift, Swift thought he was gonna be atrocious. I did not think of him as top mid laners. I thought he was I figured he was going to be better than the mid for Boy Butter, but I don't know. I didn't have my hopes very high for him, and he's done really, really well.
And to also go off that, because I'll pick someone on my own team. But obviously, there's a lot of bias there. It's actually Ghost 32, and it's probably something you guys probably don't see in the games because he has played support for 4 of the games, and he's probably done all right. I don't know where you guys would rate him in the 6 out of the 6 supports for the first 4 games. But as far as as a team player and knowing the macro, because he was on our team last season and he was a sub in for Tree when he was gone for a couple of weeks. He has improved vastly. As far as macro and knowing how to manage the lane and where to be on the map, he's actually a way better player. So I was really surprised.
Yeah, I actually want to, while you got his dick primed up for me, I want to take a hand and jerk him off myself here, because I agree entirely on Ghost 32, and I don't think I've been able to say it while I've been casting any of the games, but I've thought it a few times. When he signed up this season, he signed up as Gold 1, and my first thought was oh, he must have just typed it. I don't think he was actually Gold 1. And I've been... He is... With a lot of the picks he's had, you haven't been able to talk about him much, but when you're playing Shen and Trundle support, you're never going to talk about those picks at all. And he has done exactly what his team needed to. And just been a really exceptional role player for TDO.
He played a different support each week also, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He hasn't played the same.
He has a really big champ pool. And last season, when I talked to him about just general strategies and ideas, he'd always every week come back and he'd get stomped by this one thing, and Solo Cube was dude, Shen support, man, that's the next big thing. I'm dude, Ghost, you're crazy. And then he does these things and he actually does really well on them, and I'm okay, I allow it.
All right, Kyle.
No, I agree with the Thor. Or do I need to comment on Ghost? Because I feel like everybody else already kind of explained that.
I feel like you could probably just say if you agree or disagree. I'd agree.
I mean, outweighing expectations. And he's been doing what he's supposed to do, but that's what you want out of a player that you pay a couple bucks for. I don't think he's been hard carrying games or doing it incredibly well standout. I guess we'll have to see more now that he's on AD carry, because that's very different from support. If he keeps getting champions what was he on Sivir yesterday? I think everybody's on Sivir. That doesn't really say too much about their personal skill. But I am definitely interested to see where he goes the rest of the season, because I was expecting Ghost to be the weak point of that team, and so far I didn't really see too many cracks.
The thing is, I'll say it, guys. I'll say it out loud for all of you guys to fucking hear the satisfaction. Not the best AD carry player, right?
Wait, who's not?
Me.
You're not the best AD carry player?
Yeah, I know. It really blows everyone's mind. The first 4 games this season, after the 4th game, I guess, I was like, oh my god, I am the worst player on my team. Like, mechanically. And I was like, alright, that's... something needs to change.
Alright, I'm taking this question in a different direction. The person who has surprised me the most is Wang. Not because I think he's done super great every week, but because I have deep-seated PTSD in every game I play with Wang, and he hasn't let me down yet. I still don't trust him.
Nice.
And we're 4-1. I still don't trust him. I can't.
That's the spirit.
Now everybody knows your team's weakness.
Dude, it has nothing to do with any one game. Like, there's shit, like, obviously this doesn't matter to you guys, but no matter what game I play with him, there's always something that just makes me lose faith in him.
How's your part-time life as a tank treating you, Tree?
Alright, so I think we've hit everyone here, so...
Whoa, I didn't get to talk on this.
Yeah, Blab has
I know I haven't said hardly anything all night,
Who
but
the fuck skipped Blab? We went down the order and then bounced back up the tree and it was all
I know,
nice and even.
Tree
Except
said,
some...
alright, Wind, go, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, because
okay,
it was
I guess
fucking silent and you had your chance.
Alright, Blab, let's see.
I want to hear
what
what
you
Blab has
think.
to say.
Well,
Go
I mean,
on.
honestly, I was kind of blindsided. I didn't really know I was doing this. I was just told something at 10 being TeamSpeak.
Actually,
No.
just in case anyone's wondering, it was about 2:30 p.m. I was blowing dust out of a PC at work today, and all of a sudden I was like, I should just see if I can get everyone together and just do like a summoning insight about the SBL. And then I realized it could only happen tonight because 30 travels for MLG Columbus, and my team practices on Monday. So to do it before week 6, it would have to have been tonight. And I was like, yeah, I could probably get 6 people.
Yeah, see, and I didn't get that kind of description. I was told, like, SBL something, 10 o'clock, okay. But, getting back to the question, I'm gonna
Oops.
jump back to what you guys said, and it's not Thrifty, it's not Pickle, and it's not Swift. Not because they're not playing well, but because they're doing what you should expect them to do. Like, if you go on past seasons, if they're not doing at least what they've done so far, then they're failing. On the other hand, who I will say has been impressive is the Think Twice, Die Once non-superstars. So Ghost, Thermidor, and Zwirbs. Like I said earlier with Zwirbs, you never really notice that he's doing great, but he just is. And I think that's something new that I've seen from him this season.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised no one mentioned the Thermidor one. Like, now that once you mentioned that, especially as well, like Thermidor has also been.
Yeah, that Vi game was
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah,
All
the
I can
Vi
say
game was
about
monstrous.
Thermidor, I know I've hyped this guy up on like every stream I can. I knew he was a fucking beast last season on Guerrilla Radio, so I think it hasn't been that surprising to me to see him just go off this split. Thermidor is really fucking good at League of Legends.
Yeah,
And
he
I'm
is.
really glad I'm so glad everyone's getting to see all the parts of Guerrilla Radio just go on and have good teams. Like Thor was really good on Guerrilla Radio. All the faith I lost in him was in the off season. Thermidor was really good for Guerrilla Radio. And like I'm really happy both these guys are like huge contributors on their teams this season. Because Guerrilla Radio was a sad place to be.
Who was the 4th and 5th member of Guerrilla Radio?
Zeticus and Cruise Master.
That's right. Alright.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I have to agree with Blab here. That everyone on my team, those 3 specifically, just blew my mind this season. What they bring to the table in terms of like enthusiasm and the willingness to learn the macro game and like actually do it is fantastic. I mean, well, Thermidor doesn't really talk, but that's like the great thing about him. He's just like he's there and he does his role almost perfectly every game. I never have to
think
worry.
he's role playing a Nocturne that's playing for both teams. So like you don't know, all of a sudden it's just like darkness. You're like, wait, where is he? Oh yeah, he's on my team, and you get to have that little rush every time that you remember Nocturne's coming in on your lane. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so this one gonna be a bit more of a fun question, hopefully. There's a team called Boy Butter. We obviously have talked about how much they suck. So I would like everyone to imagine, what is one player you could change out on this team to fix this team? Like, if you could just replace one player, and you can't pick any of the have-been diamonds, who could you swap out there and make this team the most competitive?
Do you want a replacement player or just?
Yeah, entirely replace a player. Like, you're gonna cut King and bring in Ajs Zero. As an example. Probably not your answer because it'd be a pretty weak answer. I don't think that would fix this team.
Yeah, no. Fuck. Well, obviously Cruiser King. I'm trying to think of who the replacements would be, though.
Could you replace just one of them and fix this team?
Fix meaning what?
I think so.
Hold on.
Well, yeah,
Fix
what do you mean?
meaning
Yeah.
what?
Like, take
Tree
them
has
to
the
the
best question
veterinarian and chop off the balls, because that's
God
the
damn
only
it.
fixing that we can do.
No.
I actually think if you moved Joe to 80 carry, bench King, and put 30 in, I think that could actually fix the team.
Oh my god, I would pay to see that.
Okay, okay, that's a really fucking good
30
answer. But
do you know
I
how
don't
much
think you
Wes
still want
would
Joe.
tilt when he disagrees with you? You and Wes would be like straight up TSM Legends level of drama.
Who?
You 30, you and Wes, you guys would disagree about things, a lot of things.
You think so?
And I think that drama there would be a chance we'd get straight up TSM Legends.
Whoa! Like this last week of TSM Legends, or like?
I don't
What?
watch TSM Legends. I only know what Thorin tells me about it, so
Oh.
it might not be as dramatic as I think. But
Well, actually, last week was surprisingly not dramatic for such a dramatic week. Obviously, them going 0-2 and getting 6th place. But wait, what means win or disagree? What do you mean? I love, like, he's a cool guy. I'm like
yeah, no,
disagree on anything.
I love Wes too. But I think you two as like team captains would vehemently disagree on a lot of things. You would tell Wes to play one thing, and Wes would be like, "No, fuck you, I'm gonna play my other thing." Or you'd be like, "Hey Wes, I think you should prioritize ganking this lanes," and he's gonna go, "I don't give a fuck that you used to be a jungler. I'm Master Splinter. I know what to gank, and I'm going to gank when I want to." And you'd be like, "Okay, Wes, well we need you to group." He's gonna be like, "No, dude, I need to take this second blue buff first before I get back." And
you really like?
Jesus.
You think Splinter's such a dumb player? Like he's not that dumb.
I think I think Wes is really smart, but he has to play the game his way. And I think you are really smart, but you really want the team to play the game your way. I could see this being like a Yellow Star and TSM situation where I don't think you'd be dominant enough to reign in Master Splinter, and I think it would just cause things to fall apart.
Maybe. I still think Thrifty's answer is good though. I think it's interesting because
I think it's really interesting. I might be wrong. If it works, you guys would either go like 2-8, or you guys would go 9-1 and undefeated in the playoffs.
Statistically speaking, Dan has performed the best when he's with me.
When all of Dan's performances are with you, I don't think you can make that argument.
Yeah, this is the first time he hasn't been with you.
I would state facts, Swift. Statistically, he has performed the best with me.
30, you're why people don't trust math.
This hurts.
Dude, I'm just saying, like the Dan and 30 duo queue is like it's a real thing. We farm some hard elo together. The serity's fucking real, man.
What are you guys gold?
He's plat 5. I'm gold 3, but I've played like 12 ranked games this season. So that's the big thing with me is I just don't play the game as much as I used to.
Casual.
Damn.
I'll take that.
That's okay. I call people who only stay up till 1 playing casual. So
I gotta go make money, man. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it's fucking early here. Let's wrap this shit up.
Oh, Tree. Do you work tomorrow?
I work every day. Fuck yeah.
Adult dude.
I'll call it right now, see how that goes.
Wait, do you have Friday off?
No,
Oh.
I'm going to MLG after that. Anyway,
Alright, so anyone else with hypothetical, how do we fix Boy Butter and as few moves as possible?
Well, go off of what Thrifty said. You just need to bring in someone else who cares about the mid game.
you just get them a decent 80 carry though. At least not go 0-10.
Okay, actually, yeah. Okay, obviously, K King I think is the priority replacement. I agree with Black. Yeah, that is a huge thing.
I'm really curious to know which AD carries would work as a replacement. Like, I think if you put Salvo on this team, they'd still be really atrocious.
You could put Evil on that team.
Yeah, I
I
would
know.
actually think it's got to be one of the guys I don't know much about. Like, I think Evo would be a good pick.
What about Viverette?
I mean, we did specify non-diamond.
Yeah.
Oh, so,
I
is that what the
included all three.
specification?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I thought the specification was you can't replace Splinter.
You can't move any diamonds,
I
basically.
mean, do you think
Okay.
you could replace Splinter and make this a good team? Because I would love to hear that idea.
No. Okay, if I can't put Viverette in, then yeah, I think Evolite, yeah.
And even then, like, I don't know enough about Evolite.
I don't either. I just know he's really good at AD carry.
I feel like they need somebody that is a fairly dominant personality in that bot lane, and I think that person has to be really willing to work with Albinojoe.
But Joe is willing to work, right? Like he's
Joe
a
is willing to
very
work,
cooperative guy.
But he needs somebody that has good direction. I don't know enough about Evolite to say if he has direction and like long-term practice goals he'd be able to put into place.
I stand by mine. I think that's like, the best one-player switch you can make.
The big thing is like that he can hard carry games next to Splinter. And
Who,
so then you
Evolite?
can
Okay,
real good.
I agree.
Well, I still think subbing in better AD carry is the best option.
Remember,
just
they
gonna
can
add-
always replace the mid laner, move Cruz to support and Joe to AD.
So I was gonna add there was actually a point during the draft after they got Splinter and then Dan for so cheap, where I said, hey, you or kind of hinted that I should think about adding me to that team, because if I can just do my thing and not have to be the main carry, that'd be great.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a cop-out answer, but I was going to say
Yeah.
Lab on that team. I mean,
Yeah, I
I think
would
the highest
say
rated guy.
I
Especially
think
if
best
you,
bet. Go ahead.
with what Swift said, like moving Cruz down bot, putting Joe onto AD carry. If you did that and slot up Lab in, that would actually also be really, really good.
I think that subbing in Blab for mid or Evolite to ADC is probably your best bet on non-diamonds.
I think a better AD carry is the better option, but like me mid also would not be bad.
I think Joe on AD carry would be fine. So I think like the big thing is like you try to take advantage of like either I think Lab or 30 would be like the really good one. Bench the king, shuffle
Yeah,
people around.
If you have Joe AD carry, you don't need him to win the lane. You just need him to not lose it hard.
I mean he can do that. I mean
Yeah.
he plays AD carry and solo queue as well.
Yeah, the Blab Splinter mid jungle duo, that's real scary. Because
That is
they both
that is intimidating.
I'm just gonna get this lane fed, and Splinter, obviously he's gonna get himself fed off getting Blab fed. So
Yeah, you can take my kills all day. I don't care as long as we kill him.
yeah, exactly, because you know
Oh
what to
God,
do with the
Wes would love
advantage.
you.
So
Wait, hold on. Do you mind never getting blue buff?
I
Does Sion
you
need
can
blue
get
buff?
it from him, but you have to like establish dominance. It's like a relationship thing. I was duo queuing with Wes the other day, and he took my I took the second blue buff, and he took my third one, and I just went off on him. He's like, "Dude, I'm sorry, I forgot you're a mid." I was like, "No, you didn't. You thought you could get away with one."
Wes is like Charizard, and you have to train him, but you're too low a level.
Here I was gonna say Wes is like an abusive boyfriend who just does it because he knows he can get away with it, but Charizard's probably a nicer comparison.
I like
I'll say
Thing.
keeping with the dragon. I like Scotch's idea, Smog.
Smog Splinter is the best. All of the gold is his.
I'll say I do really like my blue buff, but like I said, he can have all the kills. Just give me the blue, and then I'll do my lane.
Alright,
He'd
I
probably
think we've
take that trade. You'd get along fine.
had enough BS here on Boy Butter. Unfortunately for them, we can't fix them. So we're gonna close this out with a bit of a meme.
Oh boy,
Oh, baby.
what does that mean?
There were. I'm gonna list off some names, guys. Okay. Viverette, Frisky Oni-chan, Boom Trooper, King, Albinojoe, Abelites, Salvo, and 30. How many of those 80 carries are better than 30?
cut the stream.
Can you wait? I think all of them. Can we go back to the beginning?
Okay,
We're
let's
done.
go one at a
We're
time
done.
real fast.
No, this isn't